Welcome to Vinexposium podcast on Wines of the Future. Where are we coming from? Where are we now? And where are we heading? My name is Gabrielle Vizzavona, and with top international experts, we'll be discussing the past, present, and future of the wine industry fast forwarding 50 years. It is our pleasure to have a Vinexpo Wines of the Future chat about de-alcoholization and lower alcohol beverages with expert Irem Eren. Hello, Irem. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Gabrielle. Thank you for inviting me.
How are you?
I'm great.
So, Irem, you were raised in Istanbul, where you got a degree in chemistry from Istanbul Technical University, and later spent years studying and working abroad in the UK, in Spain, in Turkey, Germany, and in the US. You are currently back in Spain, and you are the Business Development and Sales Director of BevZero, previously known as ConeTech, a company specializing in alcohol adjustments, de-alcoholization, and low to no alcohol product creation from a base that can be of spirit, wine, beer, or even cider. Could you explain how the de-alcoholization process works?
Sure, but I think it's very important first to distinguish a no-alcohol wine product and a de-alcoholized wine, because sometimes the difference is not really clear, and we see many non-alcoholic wines in the market, but which are not de-alcoholized. So a true de-alcoholized wine is produced from wine that has been fermented with yeast and has undergone a vinification process. And then it goes through an additional process of removing the alcohol. But all the rest, the fruit-based products marketed as non-alcoholic wines, they are simply juice. So if we focus on the alcoholization, how the process works is there are several different methods of the alcoholization, and actually it's not something new. It has been around for centuries. I mean, since the beginning of our relationship with alcohol, humans have been trying to wrangle this element, right? And it's placed in fermented beverages. But historically, the methods of de-alcoholization have ranged from exceptionally simple as blending to technologically advanced as our understanding for innovation has evolved. So first it started in 48 with reverse osmosis. So the reverse osmosis is you pass the wine through a superfine filters and it removes the water and alcohol, but you can only bring down the alcohol by a few degrees per pass.
What would be the maximum?
So you can go down to 0.0, but it's very unlikely because it requires multiple passes to go down to 0.0. So if you are 10% alcohol, then you need to do 10 passes. So you're taking a lot of out of the wine. So normally reverse osmosis is used mostly for alcohol adjustment for a degree 2 or maximum 3 degrees to decrease the alcohol.
So every time you go through this process, you will actually strip as well part of the aroma, right?
Exactly. So with the reverse osmosis, actually, it's not really possible to reserve the essence of the wine, the flavors and the aromas, because you're just making the separation based on water and alcohol. But after that, there are many more advanced methods to remove the alcohol. Like revolution in the technology or the industry was with the spinning cone column. It is an Australian technology and started back in 90s. And that's actually how our company, BevZero, started to de-alcoholize 30 years ago in California. But the spinning cone column was mostly used for water purification. So our founder brought it to United States, and then he started to de-alcoholize wine with that. So it's kind of like it was kind of a breaking point in the industry. And it's based on the low temperature vacuum distillation. But spinning cone column has like centrifugal force in conjunction with the vacuum distillation. So it can remove the alcohol and volatile aromatic compounds, and then you can add back those volatile aromatic compounds to the de-alcoholized portion again.
When you add them again, is it exactly the same, or do you lose a little bit like in the previous method?
Yes, obviously you lose a little bit because what happens is when you remove the alcohol, you are removing a very important structural element from the wine or beer or cider. So you are like kind of deconstructing the wine into different fractions. But then when you add back the the volatile aromas, the essence, you can preserve almost the same aromas of the wine. Let's say if you have a Muscat grape, which is really floral and grapey, you can preserve all the aromas. And also because it's a distillation process, you concentrate the aromas, and even the aromas can be stronger than the beginning. But however, you have a loss within the structure. So it's not the same as the first incoming wine. You need to adjust the palate, at least the palate, the mouthfeel.
So we have these two methods right now. Are there other ones?
So there are other ones as well, but the mostly used technologies or the methods are these two ones. But also BevZero in 2015 introduced their own de-alcoholization technology in a partnership with Logichem, which is the manufacturer in South Africa, and BevZero is the exclusive distributor and seller of the technology. It's called Golo, and it's also based on low temperature vacuum distillation. But what happened was, since BevZero, previously known as ConeTech, has been using spinning cone column for 30 years, which is a great technology, but with a lot of know-how and the experience of 30 years in de-alcoholizing, we realized that spinning cone column still could be improved. So that's why we have our own technology, and it is instead the difference with the spinning cone column. It doesn't have centrifugal cones, but it has millions of thin films to facilitate the molecular segregation, so the transfer of the alcohol molecules. And it's the completely high degree of vacuum process, so there is no risk of oxygenation. And you can almost 100% preserve the aromas and the flavor volatiles. The other two important things is you can do almost the same with the spinning cone column, but you need to do at least 2 passes to preserve the aromas. But with Golo, you can do in 1 pass 3 fractions: essence, non-alcoholic fraction, and alcohol. And the alcohol is highly rectified. It goes up to 85 ABV, so which means your yield loss is much less than spinning cone column. So at the moment, we in our 3 locations, we use both technologies, spinning cone column and Golo. But the Golo is the ultimate technology because it's the most gentle process.
How much of the wine that is produced is now adjusted, even of a few degrees?
It's a difficult question because I don't think there is a fixed research about that. What is the volume or the value of the wine adjusted? But I can tell you is there are 10 key markets for no and low consumption and production, and 6 of them are the New World countries. And the total market volume is 350 million cases of 9 liters by 21, and the growth is expected. So again, this doesn't give us the exact volume of the alcohol adjustment, especially with the global warming. Old world countries also, they are adjusting the alcohol.
So yes, obviously global warming created increase of alcohol percentage in wines worldwide. How much was the impact? How big was this impact?
So the impact is, from our own experience, actually, before, by 2018, let's say our, de-alcoholization and the alcohol adjustment portion in California was 90% was alcohol adjustment for 2 reasons: sweet spotting, kind of having a more balanced product, lowering the alcohol and concentrating the aromas, but also because of the excise tax, because before 2018, the wines with higher alcohol than 14 had a higher excise tax. So we were doing much more alcohol adjustment before 2018. But then we had a real little decrease. But now, since last 2 years, we have a much decrease in alcohol adjustment. And also what we do is we do smoke taint removal in California because of the bushfires. So in California, 90% of our volume per year is alcohol adjustment. But in Europe, 90% of our volume is coming from down to 0.0 because of the trends. But again, with the lately, since 6 years, I think our global de-alcoholization volume has increased 40%, and most of them is because of the alcohol adjustment to global warming.
What are the hottest very low or zero alcohol products today?
Hottest low and zero alcohol products in terms of general categories is like beer paved the wave, low alcohol beer, and actually Spain is a very important and almost like a mature no alcohol beer market. But then wine quickly, entered in the category. But now what we see also, no alcohol spirits are becoming very important, because I mean, before in the restaurants or the bars, there were not many options, but now in cities like New York, London, Barcelona, there are like non-alcoholic options in the bars and the restaurants, and they have sober menus. So I think the people are also looking for elevated experiences versus just drinking soft drinks or Coke. So that's why it's like really increasing, especially I think the non-alcoholic mixed drinks. But also there are very interesting changes in the category, which we call like functional beverages, and also infused beverages. So the botanical infused non-alcoholic wines are really increasing.
So do they use the argument of, the power of plants and how it can actually have a benefit on your health?
Exactly. So now, like before, actually, maybe last year it was not even. Maybe it's still not even a category, but it's becoming definitely. And but I believe in 20 years from now on, it's going to be a massive category, the functional beverages. So it's like an alcohol replacement, and also it's not only the alcohol replacement, but it's also having health benefits, as you just mentioned, Gabrielle. It gives you, depending on the botanicals you use, it gives you, maybe antioxidants or relaxing effects, or, mental health benefits. And also there is a big portion of it which includes CBD products or the mushrooms. It's definitely growing. I believe that this category will be really massive.
Are hard seltzers still going strong?
Yeah, hard seltzers. Actually, there was a huge expectation around hard seltzers, but then there was a decrease in the hard seltzers category. But now it's interesting. Lately, there is a comeback to the hard seltzers, but mostly based on the alcoholized wine. So it is called wine seltzers. And then there's a significant growth expected on the wine seltzers.
We've seen as well appearing spirits that are de-alcoholized, which sell more or less for the price of a bottle of normal spirit. What are the arguments? What is the popularity of this category?
So the spirits is interesting because yes, there is actually, spirits normally, in my opinion, has been always much more modern than a wine industry. Wine industry is still based very much on the traditions, and the spirits is always like kind of paving the way in many things. But when it comes to the non-alcoholic spirits, most of the products that we have in the market, they are not de-alcoholized. So in our 3 locations, yes, we sometimes work with spirits, but we are mostly focused on beer, wine, and cider. There are 2 reasons. First of all, spirits, you can make like a reverse engineering, and you can build a product which is a non-alcoholic spirits without having the need of de-alcoholizing. You can do it based on emulsions and formulations, and then mostly the non-alcoholic spirits are not to drink on their own, but to be used as a mixed drinks. So it's a perfectly, with formulation, you can perfectly have a great result. And on the other hand, if you de-alcoholize a spirit, then I mean, as you said, the products still are higher, almost higher or the same price of the alcoholic spirits. But if you de-alcoholize it, then the price will go much higher. Because when you de-alcoholize, there's a yield loss. So with the spinning column at the moment, if you de-alcoholize a wine, which has an incoming alcohol, which is around 12%, you will have a 28% yield loss. In Golo, you will have 15% yield loss, but you have a significant yield loss. So if you start with a spirit which has 40% ABV, then your yield loss will be like at least 60%. So technically, you're losing much more portion of your spirit. So that's why de-alcoholizing spirit, it's not cost effective. and many products are based on formulation. But there are really great products in the spirits area as well.
Can we imagine someday to make a very high quality terroir orientated no alcohol wine that could also satisfy a traditional wine connoisseur?
First of all, I think it's very important to note that the removal of the alcohol, after removal of the alcohol, the product is very different product from the original starting wine, as we are removing very important portion of the structure. But also what happens is everything is concentrated. So if you have a really not a good quality wine, which has a flaw, a fault, then they're concentrated, or the smoothness is removed and the acidity is concentrated, is increased, and then the pH is significantly decreased. So all the mouthfeel and the other characteristics are minimized, because you are again stripping something important from the wine. So this is actually, it's very challenging to create a good quality zero alcohol wine. And actually before, like 10 years, 15 years ago, what is available in the market was really crap, because what the winemakers were doing is they were de-alcoholizing their faulty wines or unbalanced wine to make a use of it. But obviously when you de-alcoholize under, vacuum distillation, you're concentrating everything. So first of all, it's very important to start with a really good quality wine and really understand what is your desired key characteristics from your outcoming product, so then choosing the incoming wine accordingly. So really important, the acidity, the pH, or the tannins of your wine is very important. There's some suitable grape varieties for de-alcoholizing. There are, some of them are not really good fit. So everything should be in a consideration. So what we recommend to our clients is not to de-alcoholize any wine. We encourage our clients to vinify accordingly to achieve, good quality non-alcoholic wine. And also the next step, as you said, will be maybe not now, but maybe in 10 years. Next step will be suitable viticulture for no and low alcoholic wine production. So planting accordingly, planting the grape varieties accordingly, or specific clones which can give you already lower alcohol, but let's say not high acidity, not very high tannins. So choosing specific clones and having your viticulture accordingly, and then vinifying it accordingly, so then we can achieve to have a more winey non-alcoholic products and better quality.
Because Irem, now we can maybe think that this process is attracting more like big groups, more industrial wine producers than craftsmanship. Is it correct?
Actually, yes and no, because it's very also interesting. If you look at our different clients, generally the market, but also our clients across categories, we have so many startups. So the category, no and low alcohol category, is still niche, but it is very fragmented. So because there is a really a tremendous growth in the category, everyone wants to take a piece from the market. So that's why there's so many startups and brand marketeers. They have their brand, but they don't have wine. They don't make wine. So from the custom crush facilities, they source the wine and they launch their product. So the most of the fragmentation is this. But yes, there are big groups who are in the market as well. But this normally, generally in the wine industry, no one wants to be the first. Everyone wants to be the second, because they want first it works and then they want to follow the suit. So the big groups, yes, they have their line extensions, but also they purchase the successful startups. So at the moment, it's a little bit of mix. What I see, yes, there are like 3-4 big groups in the category, but with high volumes. But the number of the other brands, like smaller brands and startups, is much more versus big groups, but less volume and more craft and premium products.
What can you imagine, even if it seems crazy today, to be the hot products in 50 years' time in terms of low alcohol, no alcohol, wine and spirit innovations?
let me get my crystal ball for this question.
Please.
50 years. Okay, so I think, I mean, what I can see at the moment, a few things which are already happening will accelerate and will have a big portion in the industry. What we just we were speaking is like new flavored drinks, because the consumers now, they're driven by the flavors. They look for different flavors and different experiences. So new flavored drinks and tea infused drinks. Tea is like really coming. And also actually from the technical standpoint is when we de-alcoholize, when we have a no alcohol wine, normally the finish is really short. But if you infuse it with tea, the tea, first of all, it gives like the tannins and also lingers the finish. So you end up having a more complex flavor versus, simply de-alcoholized wine. So I think it's going to have the share in the market, but also, the plant-based functional drinks as functional mushrooms or CBD, because it has like additional health benefits. So, mental health, focus, cognitive health. I mean, I'm not arguing that they have additional health benefits, but it's marketing that way. So I think it's going to be really, really big. And also, obviously, sustainable products, it is also very important, and consumers are looking for, for brands which have environmental responsibility or social responsibility and transparency. So the better for me and the better for the world move will continue.
Can we think of a future Robert Parker guide to low alcohol and no alcohol wines?
Yes, actually, it's a great idea. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle, for inviting me. I really enjoyed our conversations, and you had great questions.
Thank you for tuning into Wines of the Future. Don't miss the next episode and subscribe to this podcast. You can also leave us a comment and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at Vinexposium.